Hey guys, I just want to go over some of the presentation requirements as you work on these. They're due next Wednesday by midnight. So I have open here the example presentation that I have posted on Blackboard. In case you're wondering where that is, if you go to modules, we're still in the research essay module because we're using the same topic in the research essay as we are in the presentation. You should be changing your informative research essay topic to an argumentative presentation. I'm scrolling down to week 17. Everything you need for every week is located within the week, and so the example presentation is here. Keep in mind that your optional revision is also due next week. I already made a video about that, so please go back and watch my week 17 video if you have questions about that. Here's the example presentation. And here is where you submit your presentation. It's a discussion board so that other classmates can view your presentation. Please also make sure that you read through the presentation assignment sheet again before submitting your presentation. The presentation assignment sheet was an assigned reading in week 15 to prepare you to complete the presentation. The requirements of the presentation are very clear in this assignment sheet. Please make sure you follow all of them. I have information here about your slide requirements. At least 8 are required, but feel free to add more if you need more. And I have which slides are required. A title slide, a hook slide, a thesis slide, main point slides, opposing view slides, a conclusion slide, and a references slide. I have more information about what to do for each of these here, and I will cover those a little bit more when I go over the example presentation. Here are the requirements more simplified if you just need a checklist. So please read through this entire thing. Also, you're required to include visual elements in your presentation. At least 2 are required. These visual elements should not just be for entertainment purposes, they should actually aid in the presentation of your information. So do not include an irrelevant visual. Do not include a visual that you don't comment on during your narration. Make sure that it's actually helping you present the information and support your argument. Here is how to cite an image in APA, both in text and on the reference page, so please follow this. And now we will look at the example presentation. Here's the title slide. We have the title and we have the student's name here. The next one, this is the hook for this presentation. Notice that this is source information here, and so this student has included an in-text citation with it. That is a requirement for this presentation. You must include in-text citations. If you don't include in-text citations, you will not receive a passing grade for this assignment. Also, the student has included citations for the 2 images here. It looks like this image came from one of her original sources, but this image she found separately, and so she added a source. Feel free to add as many sources as you need to for this assignment. The requirements, however, remain the same. At least 3 sources still have to be scholarly. You have to use at least 5 still, and they should all be very credible sources. The sources for your images and visuals will not count toward your 5 sources. Okay, next is the thesis slide. This student has included her overall argument as well as her main points here. Her main points are that nuclear power is safer, environmentally friendly, and more reliable. And she put those in bigger font and bold. You don't have to do that, but you can. You can also choose to separate your argument from your main points in this slide. For example, your argument could be one bullet point, and then your main points could be separate bullet points below it. Either way is fine, just make sure you include a thesis slide. You should not be reading directly from your slides. unless you're reading the thesis slide or a direct quote. Make sure you include direct quotes very sparingly, however. Next, she includes a definition of nuclear power with a good illustration of it here, which she goes over. Next is her first main point about safety and another image. Next is a main point about cost. And in this slide, she includes an opposing viewpoint and counters it. Again, she includes an opposing viewpoint about waste and counters it here. This is her main point about the environment, the fact that nuclear power is environmentally friendly. And we have another visual here, the citation. And then the conclusion includes her 3 primary main points that support her overall argument and her thesis statement. And lastly is the references page. You do not have to put a hanging indent on your references page. I'm not sure exactly how she did this. She must have tabbed over, but you can't actually insert a hanging indent, so don't worry about that. You can put your citations in here with bullets if that works better for you. I'm not going to be picky about that. Just make sure they're correct. Remember that you must include your embedded narration. I'm going to actually view this slideshow and show you what happens here.
A warming planet, a growing concern, as shown in the image to the right by NASA Global Climate Change. Every year, 7 billion tons of CO2 is dumped into the atmosphere just by the U.S. alone. Current estimates show that if this continues, we will hit a global tipping point for climate change in just 7 short years.
Okay, so that's what embedded narration looks like. So please make sure you do that correctly. Test your narration on a different device to make sure it works. And if you do not include embedded narration in your presentation, again, you will not receive a passing grade on this assignment. I do want to mention one thing about citations, in-text citations. Your in-text citations can be verbal, but they can only be verbal if the source information is not actually on the slide. They should only be verbal if you are only verbally mentioning the source information. So you can say, according to Smith, in 7 years, whatever, okay? But in this case, on this slide, this source information is here, so an in-text citation will be required. So if you have written source information, a written in-text citation is required. If you verbally state source information, then a verbal citation will suffice. Once again, I just want to reiterate the fact that this presentation should be argumentative. I just want to reiterate that your thesis statement should be argumentative, not informative. Your thesis statement for your research essay was solely informative. You were just presenting both sides of the issue. In this presentation, you should take a side, and you should state your argument and the main points that support that argument. Keep in mind that including opposing viewpoints is a requirement, but if you include those opposing viewpoints, you must counter them. Just including them will contradict your argument, but countering them will not leave any holes in your argument for your audience to question. As always, feel free to email me if you have any questions at all.